I have no idea why Lily's gone. How should I know? I'm only the teacher. She reached with trembling fingers to her lips and felt around for some phantom cigarette she'd probably left in the teacher's lounge. Then she stared at her hand for kind of a long time. So, no Pledge of Allegiance after all. It was just as well. Aiden only pledged his allegiance to Asgard since learning he was the son of Thor. Julie was mute because of some bargain she'd made with a witch or something, and Nathan was a Jehovah's Witness. "I bet Lily's just sick," Aiden whispered to Will. "There's a flu going around." Will hadn't heard about any flu, but he nodded and gave Aiden a kind of half-smile. They hadn't really been friends until recently, but of course, neither boy had many choices anymore. And Aiden was nice, for a demigod. It seemed to Will that you could really let that sort of thing go to your head. Ms. Chadwick was still staring at her hand. She was getting that look on her face, that owl look, big, fierce eyes, and a strong impression that she could turn her head all the way around if she wanted to. "Pop quiz!" she hooted. The class groaned, as classes will, but it sounded feeble. There weren't even enough kids to get a good groan going anymore. "An essay in 200 words or less. Explain what you think will happen to a teacher if all her students keep turning into flipping butterflies. Assume she only has 2 years' experience and student loans. Show your work," she added, and went to hide behind her desk for a while. Usually a screaming teacher was like ice down your back, but Ms. Chadwick had been getting gradually louder since Labor Day. No one, strictly speaking, had actually turned into a butterfly. Hannah had sprouted wings from touching some sort of meteorite back in November, but everyone agreed they were really more dragonfly wings than anything else. She'd done a science fair project about it before leaving for St. Peppermint's Fairy Academy over winter break. Nonetheless, Will took out a sheet of paper and wrote, "What'll happen to a teacher if all her students turn into flipping butterflies?" at the top, and then he thought a moment. "I think if the teacher had our class, she wouldn't have to worry, because the other 7th grade teacher, Mrs. Murray, is really old and will probably retire, and they'll still need someone to teach the 7th grade. And Aiden won't leave because there is no special school for him. He only goes to that Norse god summer camp in Connecticut. Lily's probably just out sick. I don't understand Julie's deal, but if she was going to leave, she would have left already. And Nathan's too big a loser to get powers." Will considered that last sentence. Of course he couldn't call his classmate a loser in a school paper. But Nathan had always been a dork, even more this year than last. He turned into one of those kids who raised his hand too much and used words like "however" and "approximately." Still, Will erased a bit and wrote, "And Nathan doesn't seem like the type to be a vampire or leprechaun or whatever. You can just tell with some people." Then the point of what he'd written sank in a bit and made him feel small. "And you don't have to worry about me either. I'm never going anywhere. I'll never be a hero or have an adventure. I'll just become a doctor or a banker like my dad, or maybe a scientist that finally figures out what's up with this school." Just then, one of the classroom walls collapsed. Aiden gave an exasperated little sigh, because they'd only just finished repairing that wall from the last time. A chalky cloud of pulverized cinder blocks settled around the ragged remains, and in stepped a beefy man snapped into some kind of flashy exoskeleton. The brushed steel limbs of the suit whirred and clicked as he moved, and made his legs 2 feet taller, and his arms 2 feet longer. Chrome tubes and something like a plastic sneeze guard folded over his shoulders and head, like he was wearing a motorcycle. Will hoped he was maybe just here to talk about wall safety, but in his heart, he knew the guy was a supervillain. You could just tell with some people. The supervillain frowned at the class and said, "Is this all of you?" It seemed like sort of an ordinary question to ask after knocking a wall down. Aiden and Will looked at each other.